Coming up on Network Africa, Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu announces the setting up of a 2 billion naira emergency release fund for those affected by the Lagos pipeline explosion. Ghana, South Africa, Kenya and others impose sweeping travel restrictions to control the spread of the COVID-19. Tanzania, Liberia and Somalia confirmed their first cases of COVID-19.
The Channels 24 app means you'll always be in touch with the news. Get the latest local and international stories on the go. And there's our social media platforms for news from around the world. Watch the news live and play videos that matter to you. You can also check the Eyewitness section to report events around you. Just click on the Eyewitness icon and follow the instructions to upload your content. Channels 24 app, the news at your fingertips.
On Saturday, Egypt announced to close schools for 2 weeks to prevent the spread of the coronavirus as the number of cases reached 110 with 2 deaths reported. The suspension of classes from Sunday follows previously announced measures, including the cancellation of large public gatherings, restrictions on the time allocated for mass prayers, and the halting of local soccer league matches for 2 weeks. Egypt has also taken measures aimed at reassuring tourists that it is safe to visit the country after passengers contracted the coronavirus on a Nile River cruise ship. Still on Saturday, the total number of coronavirus cases in Morocco rose to 18 from 17. The country's prime minister says one of the cases was locally transmitted. One person has died and another has recovered from the virus. Morocco has suspended flights to and from another 25 countries over fears extending an earlier travel ban that covered China, Italy, Spain, France, and Algeria. Morocco has also closed all schools and cancelled gatherings of more than 50 people to stop the coronavirus spreading. On Sunday, an explosion killed no fewer than 15 people and destroyed about 50 buildings in a suburb of Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. The group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC, Mr. Kyari, says a truck accidentally hit some gas cylinders stacked on a gas processing plant located near the corporation's System 2B pipeline right-of-way. Several people were injured and taken to hospital, according to Ibrahim Farinloye, a spokesperson for the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. The Nigerian Navy Reference Hospital says the explosion also caused substantial damage to some sections of its facility. The management of the hospital says they received and attended to casualties from the explosion site. 55 persons, made about 36 school children and 19 adults, were treated in the hospital. A Canadian woman and an Italian man kidnapped while traveling through Burkina Faso 15 months ago have been freed and are in good health, the president of the neighboring Mali said on Saturday after meeting the pair. Edith Blay and Luca Tuchetto, who went missing in December 2018, were found by peacekeeping troops near the northern Malian city of Kidal on Friday. Jihadist groups with links to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State that are active in the region have kidnapped Westerners in the past, though it is not known who was responsible for the pair's abduction or if any ransom was paid. Blay and Tuchetto, who Canadian media reports are both in their 30s, were flown on Saturday to the capital Bamako, where they met Malian President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta at the presidential palace.
In the aftermath of the devastating explosion at Abule Ado in the Amuwo-Odofin area of Lagos, the state government has set up an investigative committee to look into the incident. This was announced by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who visited the scene of the blast today to assess the situation. The committee, headed by the Deputy Governor, Mr. Obafemi Hamzat, is to carry out an extensive investigation into what caused the catastrophe and what needs to be done to prevent a repeat. Governor Sanwo-Olu also announced the setting up of a 2 billion naira emergency release fund for those affected by the disaster.
My trip here is not immediately to begin to apportion blame or to begin to say that this was what happened, this is not what happened. I'm going to explain to you in graphic details which truck or which tank or which pipe burst out. That's not my activity, that's not my responsibility. There are others that will do that. But we want to first express the very, very condolences to our citizens that have lost their life. And all our citizens that we can see that their property, their goods have been destroyed extensively. I will confess that I have never seen anything of this magnitude before. I mean, it's like a war zone. It is rather very unfortunate that as a people, they had to get to this to be able to make setting up a panel that will come here, will start work from today, and will need to give us a report in the next 2 weeks as into the reasons and the real cause of this huge loss of life and property. So I have set up Abule Ado SOVA Emergency Relief Fund. I have set that up, and it's a 2 billion naira relief fund. And the state government will immediately be putting 250 million naira in that fund. And overnight, I have gotten 3 banks to open accounts for that fund. And what are we trying to achieve? This is certainly beyond what the state government can undertake on its own. This is beyond what the government, be it at the national level. So I'm aware that some of my fellow governors have called, and I've received phone calls from the private sector. And so what this fund will do is to give everybody the opportunity to be part of it and to be able to donate into it.
For our Nigerian viewers, helplines have been released to assist the panel in carrying out their investigation as well as other purposes. The emergency numbers are 090-105-17140, 090-105-17141, 090-105-17142, 090-105-17143, and 090-105-17144. And as the Lagos State government moves to mitigate the impact of the disaster, emergency services have recovered 3 more bodies from the rubble at the scene of the explosion. A 3-year-old female toddler is also among those rescued alive, and she's being cared for by the Red Cross. An official of the Red Cross says the child was separated from her mother and brother, who were injured in the blast and have been receiving treatment in hospital.
With me is Favor. That's her name. She was found in the heat of the rubbles and the confusion that came up yesterday. The mother was injured. She had injury in the head, and the brother was equally injured. The Red Cross ambulance took them to the hospital, but they were admitted into 2 different hospitals. We went looking for the mother at the Naval-based hospital, but the mother was in a state of semi-unconsciousness, and but with her body language, she was able to, jiggle and wriggle. But this morning, before we came back, the mother is conscious enough to ask for the daughter. And the doctors at the Navy hospital, they told her that your daughter came last night, your daughter is safe with the Red Cross. And immediately we came, the information reached us. So very soon, we are going to visit the mother and she will see her baby.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State Deputy Governor, Obafemi Hamzat, has visited victims at the Nigerian Navy Reference Hospital. Many of the victims were taken to the hospital from other health establishments where some parents took their children to be attended to. Our correspondent, Mary Alale Yusuf, reports that victims with more serious injuries were transferred from the reference hospital to the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. 2 schoolgirls who were brought to the reference hospital in fairly critical condition are now stable, while 4 adults are being attended to. Our coverage of the coronavirus pandemic begins here in Nigeria, where the Federal Ministry of Health has confirmed that the suspected case in Enugu, southeastern Nigeria, has tested negative, while the contact case of the index case has been discharged. But the Minister of State for Health, Dr. N2bn Mamora, insists that although Nigeria has not recorded any new case, the country is still at high risk. Dr. Mamora, who was given an update on the status of the COVID-19 containment efforts at a media briefing in Abuja, said Nigeria will continue to monitor travelers coming into and going out of the country. According to the minister, 3 new countries, France, Germany and Spain, have been added to Nigeria's priority list, which already has Italy, China, South Korea, Japan and Iran.
In Enugu, a woman in her 70s returned from the UK and had symptoms of fever and mild respiratory illness. Her sample was collected for laboratory diagnosis, and happily, she tested negative for COVID-19. I'm sure that last 2 days or thereabout, this was viral on the social media. Therefore, as at the 15th March 2020, Nigeria has recorded 2 confirmed cases of COVID-19. 1 case is now negative and has been discharged from the hospital. That's the contact case of the index case. Following the declaration of a pandemic and increasing spread in countries, we carried out a review of our case definition. We have added 3 new countries to the existing list of 5 high-risk countries with widespread community transmission. These countries are France, Germany, and Spain. Therefore, 8 countries are in our priority list. These are China, Japan, Iran, Italy, Republic of Korea, France, and Germany. Travelers from these 8 countries will undertake secondary screening at the point of entry. They are also advised to self-isolate for 14 days on entry.
For Disease Control, Dr. Chike Ikeazu, to give us an update on it.
Meanwhile, the Director General of the National Center for Disease Control is appealing that all hands must be on deck in the fight against the coronavirus disease. Sharing his experience with China at the media briefing on COVID-19 in Abuja, he called for the "it's our fight" kind of spirit demonstrated by China.
Some of you know I was in isolation because of my trip from China. One of the most important things I learned from China was what they called an all-of-society response. So the entire society was mobilized to move the country out of that outbreak phase. It wasn't left to government or doctors or Port Health Services or China CDC. Every single person in that country was mobilized to move the country forward. So I really appeal to all of you to see this as our collective challenge and our collective responsibility in providing Nigeria the information to move the country forward.
Still to come on the program, we have more on the coronavirus in Africa as Rwanda records 4 new cases in the country. Bring your details in a moment. Stay with us.
The Channels 24 app means you'll always